I'll start off with my favorite province, which I don't care about. I've no shame in doing it. Yeah, Connacht. And we'll ask you for your thoughts on this, definitely, Jade, as well. They stole a win really against the Sharks. They won by a point. They didn't score for a large period of the game, and I just thought they really hung in there. JJ Hanrahan, as I kind of mentioned on a couple of pods ago, he's been a really good signing. And he kicked, that pressure kick to get the win. So I thought that was really impressive. But I think you obviously do have to focus as well on the Sharks, and they had like 2 or 3 kicks that they definitely should have made. So I do kind of get the sense that Connacht did steal it in the end, but it was still. I'm also still not overly surprised, and especially with their performances to date. And it wasn't necessarily Connacht's first team as well, but I thought they were brilliant to get the win. And it's an invaluable win. I think they needed something. They need something from the tour to South Africa, so I think that was a great win. But maybe just will we focus maybe a bit on the Sharks, Jade? Like, did you get a chance to see this game?
Yeah, I got to see it. Yeah, it's reminded me so much of the World Cup final in a bit where, the Boks stole it at the end, like you'd say, so at the end. But yeah, I think the Sharks, for me, have, like I said, they have maybe a little bit of identity crisis now, and the Club 3 needs to sort it out. But Connacht's props to them. I didn't expect them to win it. I thought even though the Sharks, are in trouble, I thought they'd win it at Kings Park. They'd win it. That last scrum, getting the penalty in that last scrum was, crucial for them. I didn't expect them to walk over the Sharks' back like that, although Beelum did play. But I mean, it's still, for me, I thought the Sharks would have enough up front because they don't have a bad back. But yeah, it's like I said, it's the Sharks need to dig deep now, and they need to, stick together and start to get a win. Once they get a win and they start to grind out the results, maybe you'll see a difference with those players coming back. But for Connacht, well done, I think. And the conditions at the end also, I think, suited Connacht at the end. It was with typical, Durban, humid conditions, sticky conditions as well there as well. So yeah. I think you guys deserve the win.
And then I don't know, maybe moving on then to Munsters and Stormers. Did you get a chance to watch that game as well?
Yeah, so the Munster and Stormers game, I expected more from the game actually. I expected more from Munster.
Classic.
Yeah, 10-3.
It was.
I think it
Top
was somebody
14-esque.
Thurlow Peterson on Facebook on Twitter asked were they playing touch rugby. But yeah, it was, for me, I expected more from Munster, especially with the players they brought back in, Byrne and O'Malley and all of those guys coming in. I expected much more from them. But the Stormers look like they are, they got a unit that sticks together, and they're willing to grind out when chips are down. I don't know what you guys feel of the Stormers inside center Sasha Faran Ngomezulu. I really think he's gonna be a superstar in South African rugby, in world rugby. I think this guy is he's the real deal. I saw him a few years ago in under-20 in the championship. They played against I think they played against all of the Northern Hemisphere teams, and South Africa actually won that tournament, and he was a star in that tournament. I think he's gonna be, he's gonna play big rugby one day. But yeah, in terms of the Stormers, they've got a good unit together. They know what to do. They know what Dobson's plan is, so they're not going to be easy to beat. No matter who they play, they know what to do. The other thing that I wanted to mention of Munster is that I was actually excited with Munster, and I thought, okay, Munster they made a few good acquisitions. They got, Ollie Jagger didn't play the weekend, but I think they got Ryan back to play the weekend, but they scrum capitulated against the Stormers. The Stormers, the Stormers scrum. Yeah, and I really expected much more from Munster. I thought when I saw Munster made a few good acquisitions up front. They might just give Stormers, and I mean Stormers had didn't have Frans Malherbe or somebody like that in that squad. So yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the centre. I know he had a quiet enough game against Munster, but he has been such a standout for me. Paul Williams as well on Twitter always goes on about I think he's one of his favourite players, and he just looks like a
one of Paul
confident.
Williams' centres of the week, but he likes his centres as Paul.
He does, but he just seems like a confident young player as well, and he's got a really good boot in him as well. Like he's a really astute kicker as well.
He's astute. He's astute, yeah. And the thing that I like about him is he's got a rugby brain. You know, he's got that. You can see this kid is well educated. He's got a rugby brain. He's like Ruan Pinar was. You know, it's just a rugby brain on him. He knows exactly what to do in certain situations. I won't say it on the spot, but I did make a comparison with him with the top two, the very top two fly-offs that we did see in the world over the past two with DC and Johnny Wilkinson. And I said, this kid can be on their level if he's nurtured right. He can be. He might not be better than him. He might be a little bit, might not be as good as them, but this kid is the real deal. Watch out for this kid in the future.
Yeah, I just touched on the Munster performance as well. I think it's important as well to mention just the conditions were extremely tough. And I thought Adogbo for Munster was really good in the second row. I think he could be looking at Irish caps pretty soon. He looks like a great player. And also Crowley as well, man of the match performance. He's probably going to be starting now in the Six Nations for Ireland. He's a really good player. So I just wanted to mention those few points as well. And Alex Nankivell, you've probably seen him a lot play, Jade. He's been signed from New Zealand. He's playing the centres. He is a fantastic ball player.
I called him the signing of the the window. I said I think I spoke to Kalen from the Munster supporter. I spoke to him and I said this guy will be, whenever he puts on the Chiefs jersey, he's been awesome. When he puts on the Tasman jersey in the NPC, he's been awesome. Yeah, but the one signing of the like of Munster that they made is the Ollie Jagger signing. I didn't expect him to leave New Zealand rugby. I thought that he would be in Razor's plans. Especially a few years ago, he turned down the call up to the Irish team when they were touring and they needed a prop. And he said, no, I think he is eligible to play for Ireland.
He is indeed, he's Irish qualified.
Yeah, he is. And I also thought that, if you look at the Crusaders team, he was the first name on that team sheet every time. He was Jason Ryan and Razor's man. So it was a big shock for me that he left New Zealand rugby and went to Ireland. I really thought he would stay and he would get a chance in the All Black setup. But New Zealand's loss and definitely Ireland's gain. He will play in the Six Nations for Ireland. Mark my words on this. He's good. He's good. Ollie Jagger is good.
I think he could be maybe only 28, maybe 29, and he's also signed a 3-year deal, which is a long-term deal these days. So I think that's a really good sign as well. But I think it's not good just for it is good, for Munster, but also for Ireland. I think I think you're dead right. We could see him in action as soon as as early as the Six Nations, to be quite honest. Sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Sorry. I just wanted to then just maybe touch on the Ulster Lions game. Did you get a chance to see that game as well?
Yeah, so because I was watching the Bulls game, so I actually, I saw the extended highlights of this game as well. Like I said, the Lions punched above their weight. In this, they really ran Ulster. I expected Ulster to be a blowout. Like the guys I mentioned, I think Nwamba will be knocking on the door for higher honors. I prefer him at 9, although he can slot in.
Yeah, he's playing on he does. Did he have any real experience at 10 before the last 2 games? I heard he didn't.
He did play the Odd Curry Cup game at 10. He did play a few games with the Sharks at 10, but South Africa's coach, and he would suit the 7-1 split.
It feels like an epidemic of 10s just disappearing at the moment, and everyone who's playing it at 10 these days isn't actually a 10. Like, it's scrum halves and fullbacks playing at 10 these days.
Yeah, and he's got a good boot on him. He's got an educated boot on him. He was with the Sharks, and I was surprised that the Sharks let him go. I really thought that the Sharks would keep him because he is a Shark from the Sharks from that region. But obviously the Sharks knew that they had Grant Williams and Jaden Hendricks coming through as well and allowed him to go. The other flower they had, Jordan Hendricks, Jaden's elder brother. I think he's elder than Jaden. He's not too bad. He's actually decent. He's actually decent. I always wonder, when is he going to make the move to a bigger union? I want to see what he does with a better forwards back, although the Lions forwards back is not bad. But for me, in Tlabakane, the tighthead prop, 158 kilograms of him. I don't know how this guy do it. I don't know how long is he gonna do it for the season, but he's actually one that, I got my eye on him as well. He's been solid, and then up 8 as well, Frankie Owen, and the outside centre Van Wyk. But Ulster for me, they're just one of those teams that they do nothing flashy. I don't know, you guys, you've always been in European rugby and seen it, but from my perspective on Ulster, they do nothing flashy. They're always there and thereabout, and if you open your eyes in the final or in the semi-final again, that's been Ulster for me. They do nothing flashy compared to the Munsters and the Leinsters. But yeah, it was a good result, the Lions, but not a good result, but I mean a good performance from the Lions on the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get into trouble, but I think it's been a long time since Ulster won anything, and I think that's a subject that they get teased for a bit by the other Irish provinces.
I just touch on the lines about one player I want to single out as well as Marcus Lowe, the centre. He is a baller. So I think he's a brilliant player.
He comes from the Sharks, yeah. From the Sharks as well. He's a solid bowler. The attention has always been on the other centre, the outside centre, Erko van Wyk, but he's been good. He's been good this season. All of them, they've become a unit, And I mean,
they have a great core of players there.
The coaching staff was not. It's not the A-list of coaches. Okay, Ricardo Lopeshaw was the box assistant coach. I think under Peter de Villiers or Alistair Coetzee, one of the two. But I mean, it's not. If you're looking at what the other South African teams have, they have big name coaches, but they don't have that A-grade coaches. But I think they're getting the message through to the guys, and I think they're together. I really think the squad is together. I just don't think they have the depth to do it, week after week after week in this long tournament. That is the shame of this Lions team.
Yeah. And just touching on Ulster, I think, I wasn't really blown away by their performance. They got the job done. I wouldn't have been surprised if the Lions had snatched the victory at the end. I don't think they were too far away, as you said, Jade, as well. But a special shout out to Jake Flannery. I think he got some more, invaluable minutes under his belt. He came up from Munster and he didn't get many minutes at all last season, but this season they seem to be backing him a bit more. So it's good to see him develop, and he's still a young player. And also we saw Marty Moore come back from a long-term injury. And he came on. When he came on, he won a scrum penalty immediately. Now I know after that, this Ulster did struggle a bit at scrum time, but it was good to see him come back from an injury and win that penalty. But look, we've done a lot of talking ourselves. Maybe we should move on to some of the Welsh teams, should we? Hugh, do you want to take us through? I'll let you do maybe Leinster and your beloved Scarlets.
Yeah. So I've spoken about this on a couple of podcasts already, so I'm trying to think of something I haven't said. Look, Leinster, when you saw the team sheets put out, it was like, okay, we know how this is going to go, and it went the way we thought it was going to go. So Leinster's team had 4 World Rugby Team of the Year players in it, and that didn't include former Player of the Year Josh van der Flier, didn't include Six Nations Player of the Tournament Hugo Keenan, and the rest, And the Scarlets put out a weakened team because I think they were resting players for the derby with the Ospreys. And do you know what? We conceded 3 tries in the first 15 minutes, during which we had a man in the bin. And then we conceded 3 tries in the last 15 minutes, during which we had a man in the bin. And then there was a good 50 minutes to an hour in between, where it was kind of okay. And I was talking again to Cian, who was in the crowd at the RDS, and he was saying, like, no, Scarlets had us rattled there for a minute because they had the ball and we weren't scoring, and it kept going on and on and on. So it was kind of okay. It's difficult to convince people after you've just taken 50 points. Like, no, it was all right. Honestly, you do sound a bit daft, but I think we are seeing the Scarlets boys starting to develop this backing of the young team, the back row in particular of Ben Williams, Teddy Leatherbauer, who's been a sensation, has just come from university rugby and made his first ever start of professional rugby against Cardiff 3 weeks ago, and now he's playing against Leinster away against basically what is the island's national side. And then Carwyn Tuipulotu, who's had a lot of hype for a long time based on his family tree, and he looks like the real deal. He ticks a lot of the boxes visually. He had by far his best game for the Scarlets against Leinster as well. His stats were through the roof. So in a low scoring cause from the Scarlets' point of view, there were some shining lights. Teddy Leatherbauer as well. Charlie Titcombe, I should say, at fly half as well, also came from the same place as Leatherbarrow came from, Loughborough University, and he had a good game. He showed some touches of class. So, live to fight another day, I think. Who else did we have? So I didn't catch too much of the Cardiff versus Zebre game because I was watching Edinburgh versus Bulls, which was a great game. We'll touch on it in a minute, but it was a really high quality match. But yeah, Cardiff got the draw. I think it's another one where Cardiff will look back on it at the end of the season and go, "Oh, do you know what? That wasn't so bad, really," because I think Zebre are going to get a few wins at home this season, and there was only one away victory in the URC this weekend, and it was Connacht at the Sharks. So I think you'll go, "Oh, actually, a draw away from home isn't the end of the world," and they are, again, a bit like the Scarlets. Cardiff are starting to come on, and I think Cardiff, compared to where we thought they might be with how difficult their summer was financially, I think that they are performing above where I thought they might be, which maybe just says I thought they were going to be really, really bad, but I think they've been okay. And then you had the derby between Ospreys and Dragons. Dragons have got a thing over the Ospreys at Rodney Parade. It's just one of those things. They've got the same thing over the Scarlets as well, where they just seem to be able to beat those two regional rivals. Ospreys were terrible in this game. They scored first, but then they did absolutely nothing for the rest of the game. They had a man sent off, Matt Prothero, with his stupid red cards, just absolutely like an Exocet missile at this guy in the head. It was just crazy. And then the Dragons you could tell they were low on confidence and they're not used to winning, but they just got there in the end. And the big thing for the Dragons was Kai Evans. So this guy has had a lot of stick in Wales because he's the son of Ieuan Evans, who was Wales's record try scorer for a period of time. And they're saying, he's only getting an opportunity because of who his dad is. But he's not. He's a real deal. And I think because we need a new fullback with both Liam Williams and Lee Halfpenny going, I think Kai Evans is in a really good position to be the long-term successor to those because he has got a lot to his game in terms of decision-making. He's a goal kicker and he's a long-range goal kicker as well. And he knows how to hit a line and things. Of course, Cardiff fans will say that Cam Winnett will be that guy, and he's been equally impressive for Cardiff. But for me, I think Kai Evans is just ahead, but really, whichever one of them gets the nod, I'll be happy because they're both great players. So yeah, so that's the Welsh teams. So who have we not talked about now? Should we just quickly touch a bit more on Edinburgh versus Bulls? Because this was the game of the weekend for me. It was so fast and intense and played at such a high level. I was really impressed by the standing in this game, and it finished a slightly one-sided scoreline, maybe, but I don't think that was an accurate reflection of the game. I think the Bulls would have been well worth getting something out of this game. So, Jade, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, listen, the Marcel could see a red card also, and then after that they got, I think it was Hanakom, they got a yellow card. With a play after that really hurt them, the Bulls, but they did show character to get back and not just roll over. I was expecting a real thumping after that, and looking at the players that Edinburgh had on the field with Goosen and Van der Merwe and Kinghorn, them all played. So I really thought that Richie was outstanding also in that game. But for me, this Bulls team this season has something about them. I think I said, watch out as positive because they can only get better. They're getting good players coming back. They're getting Caden Moody. I think he'll be good to go soon. Gertley Arends, Leroux comes in, and they've got experience as well. They've got Nazim Khan on the bench. They've still got Marco van Staren coming in as well. They brought in Akka van der Merwe, and they got Groenewald is it the Hoeke Groenewald? I think he's first in line to get a box cap against Ireland because with Bongi and Marks both out. So I think he'll be, he's got the inside lane for the box jumper. Dweber's not doing himself any favors with his line out throwing with the Stormers, So I think, and also the good signing that they made is Volko Low, that coming back to the ball. He's putting up his hand, for Bok spot as well, because Koch and Frans Malherbe and Trevor are not they on the wrong side of 30 as well. So he could be somebody that puts his hand up, and especially South Africa, where I think we're struggling with tight heads, but I think it's a world rugby thing now. There's tight heads has been, there's a quality tight heads has been scarce in world rugby recently. But Volker Low is one to watch out for. But yeah, I think the Bulls got something. They got something this season. I just hope that Jake White doesn't just do the most Jake White thing, and just just gets his team down and out again. Because for me personally, I think that's his last chance this season under the Bulls as director of rugby to really win something. Because I think the Bulls owners is getting a little bit impatient with him, and with the caliber and the name that he does bring. Much more from the Bulls, because they have invested a lot in players, but it's been more misses than hits, I mean, they brought back you Upload and all of those guys, and it didn't really work. But I'm really impressed with him, with his style of play also. It's not that, I don't know if you've seen the Bulls play in Super Rugby back then. It's been one-dimensional, but they've been playing much a better brand
great
of
to watch.
Great to watch now, yeah. So yeah, for me, the Bulls, definitely one I'm keeping a close eye on this season. I like who they have there. I like what they did so far. But yeah, red cards cost you in games. I mean, it's proven. So I don't know. I don't know. I think next week there'll be another red card that we'll be moaning about and talking about. But yeah, just as long as there's consistency for those kind of challenges, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting game next week. Connacht are away to the Bulls, so I think that'd be a game to watch. But yeah, I've been really impressed with the Bulls this season. I think that they're the real deal. It was kind of disappointing hearing Jake White though come out and maybe just complain a bit about the tour. Whereas if you look again, I know I keep going on about it, but John, Dobson's. I love when he interviews because he's so honest. But he's like himself and the Stormers just embrace tours. And he talks very passionately about it. Like they make the most of it, and you could see those clips from the Stormers players interacting with the local kids as well, playing rugby, like involved in a training session. Like that's what you want. It is what it is, and he's just embracing it. And they're going for it, and they aren't getting the results yet. But we all know that the Stormers have had poor starts to seasons before, but then they've gone on and won the bloody thing. So yeah, just more positivity maybe from Jake White from time to time would be.
Yeah, but Jake White should be used to it, because I mean it's not something new. It's been they've been used to the 4-game tour from Super Rugby, and last year they complained about the turnaround time with flights. I think they had to board a flight to Qatar and then get over to Europe. They had to go on that lane, so that was also a factor. I remember when the Sharks played, was it Toulouse that they played, and they arrived like 3 days before that the quarterfinal, or was it the last 16? They arrived in France. So I mean, you do look at that factor as well, where they are going to complain about it. I'm for tours. I think that brings the squad together, the young guys. It would be nice if the box could also go with him, and maybe next year, the box, there's a few more senior box going with him on tour, where the younger guys can see how Eben Itzebeth, what he does, how he preps himself mentally, not just what he eats and stuff, how he eats before the night before a game and all of that stuff, because that's what you build, and that's how you as a younger player, that's those moments that you take on in your career, and you pick up from the senior pros, and that's what you get on tour.
Yeah. Any other games we should speak of from the weekend?
I don't think we've just mentioned, was it Glasgow Benetton? So Benetton picked up the defeat there. It's a good result for Glasgow. Glasgow are going to be right in the mix at the top. I didn't think I managed to catch too much of this game, but obviously the Benetton hype train is on pause for a week until hopefully next week when they get back on it. But yeah, like I said, Glasgow I think are earning a lot of people's respect this season, and I think they're going to be right in the mix come the end of the season.
Yeah, and look, and from Italian perspective again, like it was great for me to see Zebre. I know they didn't get the win, but they got a draw. I know a lot of Cardiff fans aren't happy with a lot of the decisions, but having said that as well, Zebre missed like at least 4 kicks and goal. They missed 3 penalties. That's 9 points in the first half, and then they missed a conversion. Like so, Zebre are right in there, and I think I think they've already. Kalon pointed this out on Twitter. They've surpassed their point tally for last season. For the entire of last season in 5 games so far this season. So that's a positive sign. And we look at Benetton, like especially in the World Cup, weren't we all on Scoop Pod complaining about, Italian rugby, blah, 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 this and that. But look at the club teams now getting some points under their belts. So I think they're building nicely. And yeah, for me, this season's overall has been so competitive. And once the South African teams get back on home soil, I think they'll start getting 100%. Some wins as well.